I know there's been some. I saw some comments about last day of filming and just a lot of I think Norman Reedus put something out there after 12 years. He's like, I mean, quote unquote last day of filming, right? Like, I mean,
right, exactly.
They're doing a whole other show, but still for the main show, I mean, I imagine it's got to be somewhat bittersweet, as far as
sure.
But no other news. I was hoping if we get something Dead in the Water, but I haven't heard anything else about Dead in the Water.
I was waiting to see a trailer pop up or something for it, but when I wasn't distracted by the Oscars on Sunday, I was like, is there a Dead in the Water thing?
Right. TikTok. I mean, as we record this episode, there's allegedly 2 weeks or something before it's supposed to premiere. So
wow,
it's crazy. So no news this week. So we're going to just dive right into season 11, episode 14, The Rotten Core. Where we're definitely seeing the rot pick up. We pretty much pick up this episode where we left off last week, with Carlson on the roof and trying to get a hold of Lance to let him kind of know what's going on. And Maggie and her crew are in the building, kind of making their way to try and get Aaron and Gabriel out.
I'll say this. Last week, I feel like I jumped ahead now watching this episode as far as my reaction to the bodies going off the roof and us not seeing like the actual impact of the bodies. Because first off, the bodies get up this week, which like, oh, okay, so we're not done with these.
That's a strong word. Get up. They just
they awaken.
In this episode, I mean, this episode starts with the bodies that got thrown off the roof last episode. So.
And we'll get back to this later, but I'll just say, mea culpa. I jumped ahead. And there we are.
All good. They're saving the budget for the after.
That's right.
So after we get back from the cold open, Daryl and Carol meet up, and they're curious if either one of them's heard news from Alexandria. Neither one of them has, and they agree to have lunch. It was just a very weird, it's a date. Like, it's very kind of like cozy, friendly conversation. It was just kind of funny. Just like they're just going about their day. Like Daryl shows into the police station, and
he's whistling the Andy Griffith theme.
yeah. But he's like, he's plain clothes. Everybody else got their uniform on. He's just kind of like strolling in, waiting to hear his assignment. And so Daryl and Rosita get teamed up, so to get their patrol assignment, and then of course they gear up, and they're given an assignment. And then at the last minute, these two guys come up and change their assignment and say, no.
Well, real quick, before it's not just that they get the assignment, they're rolling through the police station, and Sebastian's like talking up his skills and his training and all that, right?
Yes.
And he looks at Daryl walking by because this is a bad choice already. And he's like, tell him, Daryl, aren't I doing great in my training? And he's like, and Daryl's response is wonderful.
He's totally back in a compliment.
Yeah, he gives him like a look, he pauses, and he's like, yeah, real good stuff. Like a little clap, and start laughing. That's what sets him off. When they start laughing at, that's what
especially when it's the woman he's trying to charm is cracking up, looking at him like embarrassed for him and cracking up at the same time.
It's great.
Yeah.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yeah. We cut back to Maggie and...
I stopped you because they come and give us the other assignment.
So Negan and his crew end up finding Maggie, and they agree to sweep the building, and clear it out, and then get Aaron and Gabriel. So then we cut back to Daryl, and so this is where we get the lowdown. Sebastian wants Daryl and Rosita to go to a safe room in a house that's surrounded by a not really like a horde, but definitely like a big gathering of walkers. Because apparently in there's a safe room, and inside the safe room there's a safe, and inside the safe there's a bunch of cash. And so strangely they used American dollars in the Commonwealth as actual, I mean, we kind of saw this earlier when with the whole records and the ice cream and everything else. And so Sebastian's his mother's cut him off, and so he's trying to devise the scheme to get this cash.
The introduction of this plot was crazy because first they're like Daryl and Rosita just kind of going a certain way, and they're talking about this place, and Sebastian disappears out of nowhere.
Yes.
Explain everything. I was like, how did this of all people sneak up on them? Right. With a walker, they carried a walker the entire way. So it's that was hell of a stealth for the two people that are really good at catching these kind of things.
Yes.
They're getting sloppy. They have nothing to do.
And Daryl's like, no, I'm not. And then the other thing is, okay, if they really rely on cash, wouldn't there be cash everywhere? I don't know, maybe they've done a good job in the interim of rounding up all the cash that's been, I don't know, I guess they built initial war chests. They literally went everywhere and gathered up all the cash, but it just seems like, okay, at some point people were probably just leaving cash or burning it to keep warm.
Well,
there should be cash everywhere. Who cares about cash? But anyway,
they're random rural parts of Virginia and North Carolina, wherever they are, and walking around in Washington. I can understand them just not having access to stacks of cash.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird, but I get
it. Clear. I mean, they got 50,000 people in an organization of stormtroopers. I'm sure they've gathered the cash 9 years or whatever into the apocalypse.
Yeah,
especially since they've been taking places over left and right.
True. So Daryl's like, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And then money, it's toilet paper to us.
Exactly. He's like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Why are we doing this?
You want what now? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both incredulous. Cash? What? But then Sebastian starts threatening. Well, Daryl takes it as a threat on the kids.
Oh, it was meant.
And so Daryl just loses it, pulls a knife, goes right up on Sebastian, and of course the two guys try to put their guns on Daryl. Rosita raises up her rifle against the two other guys. And Sebastian's like, oh, you misunderstood. I can make life easy for them. He wasn't saying I'll have them taken away or whatever. He's basically like,
I'll argue this. I think he believes that. I think he believes that how he said it because he's only focused. He only cares about money in class.
Right.
He thinks that does sound like a great deal. It's like, well, think about your kids. And Daryl obviously would all of us because we're not that person. We would also think that it's a threat. But I think to him, he actually does think it's like, look at this amazing deal I'm offering you guys. Like, you're gonna get money for this.
His first foot forward was thinking he could advance them because he's come from a life of privilege.
Yeah.
But I also think if Daryl and Rosita declined, he would have turned it into, I can make their lives hell. They'll
janitors,
he
watched procedurals like I have, and he knows what to say in case the feds are listening.
If he got pushed that direction, no doubt he would have turned around immediately. But
exactly.
Initially, what he was saying was, your kids, they're gonna be great now. I think he really had to thinking that would work.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
So he basically tells them to gut up and to head on in. So hence the walker that they walked up with, right?
That was a little clever. That's why that's there.
So I like Rosita. This is it's like a bad cop movie, right? Yeah. This is Rosita just has it. She's already cutting up, the bodies, put the blood on her. Like, if we do this is it, right? You're not gonna have to do another stupid thing like this. I'm out. This is it. We're out.
Yeah.
If we do this. So I like that. They kind of reacted that way.
So they ultimately they agree. They realize their hand is kind of being forced. So they cover themselves up in the guts. They work their way in.
And they've been down this road before too. I mean, especially this group, right? They've had to deal with these kind of people, over the years. It's it almost felt like they just like, oh, we got to put back on that mask. We had some civilization for a minute. And now we're here now this is the real shit that we've been dealing with.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Rosita's like, you want all 4 of us to go up against them? And he's like, no. A, we can't use guns because they count all the bullets and they wonder why there's a deficit. And these 2 knuckleheads can't go in with knives. They basically wouldn't make it. You two are worldly. You can handle this.
So no one said they're retiring or something. Yeah. Last day on the job.
Yeah. So they make their way inside the house. They find that there's a woman that's inside like the safe room part, and Daryl, April, yes, and they force her and 12 others to do basically what Daryl and Rosita are doing, and 3 of them made it in, and the other 2 turned on each other, and that left her kind of all alone by herself.
What does turning on each other mean in this scenario?
That sounds that out too.
I wonder if they were like, hey, we could. Well, yeah, I know, because it's not like they say, hey, let's take the money and leave. Like,
they didn't get the fucking safe open. Exactly. What is turning on each other mean?
And the money has no value outside of the Commonwealth. So, and it's not like they could take the money and go back into the Commonwealth, right? I mean, like, I don't know.
There was no blood splatter, right? So it wasn't like one shot the other, then what happened to that person, like, after they did that?
Yeah, I'm calling a lot of BS on April's story.
Yeah. Fortunately, it doesn't much matter. But
it was a neat, like, turn of events as far as, he's definitely got people do this before. That's interesting. Like, that's a fun twist to it. I will say, this is a hero there, I was disappointed with the inside of this mansion. Like, the outside looked like a mansion. The inside, it's like a farmhouse. The inside looked like they had like 3 rooms.
Yeah, like a ranch house. Yeah.
It was like a ranch, yeah. It did.
I was like, this looked pretty nice on the outside. We kind of lost the budget.
Well, it looked like an old set from the from the.
It did. Like just from the low ceiling, I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't ultimately matter much, but it just stuck out to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, so we go back to the other crew, and we find out that Negan got married, and so Annie that we see, Negan and Annie got hitched, and he kind of sort of explains his leaving, because Lydia's there, and she's like, well, you didn't even say goodbye, and he kind of explains it a little bit. And the interesting thing here is Lydia is seeing the light on the Commonwealth. Like, Lydia was full in on, like, I'm ready to go, like I'm out, I need normalcy, I'm ready to go here, and now I think she sees, like, no, this place is just as bad as every other place. Like, these people.
Yeah, she compares them to the Whispers. They're like the Whispers. They just wear different masks.
Yep.
And they take everything just like they do.
Yep.
There's a bit of a conversation with Negan and Aaron where Aaron, he says something, like, a neat company you keep referring to Michael Bean's character.
Yeah.
But Negan has a good line backwards, like, says the guy that rolled up with the Gestapo.
Right.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, because didn't he ask him like if he helped him put the heads up on the shelves? Yeah. So then we find out that Herschel stowed away. So I guess that answers the question of who was watching Herschel. Clearly somebody vastly incompetent.
I mean, nobody, because he stowed away. So he get there right the second they left. He did a terrible job watching Herschel.
Yeah, and obviously nobody got on the walkie to tell Maggie, like, hey, we can't find Herschel.
This would be the dumbest thing. It didn't lead to some of the best scenes in the episode, but like, it's so dumb.
Yes.
They probably had to get Herschel involved. But it works out so whatever.
It's the old stowaway story.
Yeah.
Oh, Herschel.
Like, so what avail?
I don't even know why he did it. Like, what did he think he was doing?
So obviously the Commonwealth people find him in the truck. They take him inside, and of course Negan to the rescue. Negan takes that guy out, and he has Herschel.
Very precise too.
Yes, we find out Annie is pregnant.
12 weeks.
12 weeks. So that means it's not Negan's, right? Because it's only been 30 days.
Well, no, it was 30 days a couple weeks ago.
When the flash forward happened, wasn't that 30? No, that wasn't 30 days.
The flash forward is 6 months.
Oh, 6 months. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was his baby.
The 30. She says it. Annie says it is. But the 30 days was the second episode.
Right. Okay.
When Daryl and them are already at the Commonwealth. That's 30 days.
Okay, I forgot it was 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's 6 months away.
Okay, so that makes sense then. Yeah. Okay. All right. Plenty of time.
I mean, Negan, Negan resolving his dead wife's thoughts.
That's right.
Finding a community, finding a woman, getting a relationship with her, and having a baby. That's a lot to take in. But beyond that, the timeline still tracks out, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Negan's Negan.
Yeah. But Annie knows about his past. Like, Maggie makes a point of, like, well, he's a bad person, whatever. And Annie basically says, yeah, I did things that were terrible too, and so did he. And now we, and
which goes back to the conversation Negan had with her. It made me think exactly back to that conversation where, even back when they were in the train.
Yeah.
And he's saying, that whole thing. Like, I do like I do like that conversation comes back, and even if they didn't mean it to be, like, there's a look on Maggie's face. I don't, even if they don't mean it to be that she's thinking back to those conversations, that it's starting to drill into her, like, that you've done stuff too. Like, you just did stuff, like, not that long ago. The last time that you were with Negan, where you killed a bunch of guys.
Yeah. This episode, I'll get to it more at the end, because I think there's some stuff with Herschel that comes up and everything that fleshes it out more. But I had some very complex and conflicted thoughts on what I think about Negan and where he's at and everything else. Which
I would say, that's good. I'm glad you have those.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
I figured you would. But it all helps that Jeffrey Morgan is doing, like, just amazing work on this show.
Yes.
And the writers seem to get that. Yeah. I'm very happy about these things.
Yeah.
You can never forgive him for what he's done, because we've seen it.
But the show doesn't make it easy to contend with all of these different things going on.
Right.
It's made him vastly more interesting to me, as I've said many times over the years.
Yeah, it is.
And it's better seasons with him.
And he's not a regular villain where, usually the thing is, the tendency is to just lie, make up a whole idea past that, you don't want the woman you love to ever know that you did these things.
It's very like Magneto, to use like an X-Men reference kind of thing going on with him to some degree.
Yeah, but he's honest about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing that's a different thing about Negan, is that he doesn't hide what he is either.
Yeah. So speaking of which, Herschel talks to Negan about why does my mom want you to stay away from me? And Negan's very vague. He's like, well, I did some stuff that was really bad. And then Herschel pulls out a gun and tells Negan, he's like, my mom told me a bad man killed my dad. And he's like, are you the bad man or whatever? And Negan doesn't lie to him. Negan tells him, yes. And
I like that he got that the kid picked up on that, and he said he was a bad, when he said he was a bad guy, he could have just went along with it. But
yeah,
I don't want to go out of my way to bash Judith, but I enjoy what Herschel's bringing more than what Judith generally brings. I do think it's an effective performance of Herschel here. And what I also like is the solution to this scene is it's really well acted between both of them.
Yes.
What I like is that it's not Negan like pleading for his life or pleading for something random. It's the if you shoot this gun, everyone will hear where we are, and therefore the rest of these people will get hurt. That's such a great like subversion of how he got out of the scene that I really enjoy.
And he can talk to. I mean, as monstrous the things that he's done, he is good at talking to children. And then you think back to his past, he was a gym teacher.
Well, yeah, and his relationship with Carl and Lydia and Judith.
It all pulls from that.
Yeah,
it all pulls from that. He was a teacher pretty much. I mean, he dealt with kids every day, so he had a way of connecting with them.
And I think he knows that at least from the Carl, maybe not Carl so much, but like Judith and even Lydia, they don't really know him as Negan, Negan Prime, right?
There's no impression of him to have beyond this guy who seems to have nice things to say to us.
Yeah, they know based on what they've been told. I mean, obviously, like I said, Carl's kind of an outlier there, but
same Carl though.
But the rest of them, they're going off of what everybody else says, not from what they've seen directly. So, but yeah, he's able to kind of talk Herschel off the ledge and just basically say like, look, you kill me, but these other people are going to get hurt. And so he lowers a gun. Lydia's able to take it from him.
It's shot well too. I like the dawning realization on Lydia and the rest of the team or the group that they're seeing what's happening, and so because it gives Negan a reaction to a little bit of a face switch when he's like, everybody looking at me, how's he doing this right now? There's little details there that I really enjoyed.
And then when Lydia takes the gun away and Herschel walks away and they stay on Negan, he doesn't like start like bawling or crying, but he wells up and he's because and again, not because he's like, oh thank God this kid didn't kill me. He's like, this kid has every right to put a bullet in my head. And he sees.
Well, as being a father, I mean, the other thing too is to know all this stuff is to have all these scenes with him and also know prior to this that he has a kid coming. As a father, realizing what happens if somebody takes like I took Herschel's father away from him, something I took I can never give back. It hit him being a father now that if the same thing had happened to him, and that's a human thing for us to do, right? Sometimes you don't care, like you don't think about these things until you go through this life journey yourself, and then you go, oh, that's why people react the way they do. And he just had that revelation of inside, like it wasn't something he knew mentally, but just that if he felt it now that if I'm taken away from my child, what would happen?
All right, so back to Daryl and Rosita. Daryl gets the power on, or mostly gets the power on. He gets jumped.
Because he's an electrician now.
Of course, yes.
He takes like what? A pair of pliers and just shoves them into the thing.
Yeah,
makes
a fuse.
Only thing missing is some Scotch tape or
electrical duct tape. Yeah,
something.
Yeah, he uses the pliers as a fuse. But then it was a little dark. The scene was very dark, and they used obviously the strobe for a purposeful effect. But at first, when he took the armor off, did he take that piece of armor off and use it to stab the walker in the head with?
Yeah, they have those edges. And
then he found the bat and then grabbed the bat.
Yep.
And I guess he took some of it off just for mobility, like he was able to kind of move a little easier. And then obviously because of the fact that it was covered in guts and nasty.
I do like that he's pissed the whole time. Like he's just pissed that he had to do this the whole time.
Yeah,
he's fighting him.
So he gets the power back on. They get back into the room and try and get the safe open. And of course then the power resets again and the alarm goes off and starts making all kinds of noise. And what cracked me up is so Rosita ends up instead of just ripping the panel out of the wall. Like,
that's dumb, Russ.
No, but the sound doesn't come from the panel.
That's what I was thinking.
You guys are silly. Obviously, just hit it really hard. It disables alarms.
Okay.
That's how Crook do. That's how the sticky and wet bandits got away with it. Hit it really hard. That's how every master thief does it. They just hit it really hard with a rock or whatever they have.
So this is why I don't steal from safes. Yeah, I can't figure that out.
No, safes are just as easy. According to Daryl, you shove a crowbar into it.
Yeah, this guy's good enough to build a literal safe room so nothing can get in. But he's got a safe that you could open with a crowbar.
Yeah, why would you do anything else if you got a door?
Yeah, true.
I know he did the lockbox thing with the safe and it worked.
Yeah.
Daryl being Daryl.
I can't stop laughing. The alarms. I'm just like, I gotta do this stuff. I'm moving the wires around. I'm trying these toes are not working. But just hit it really hard.
Yeah,
that'll work. And it did.
So
I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Remember the Thomas Crown affair when Steve McQueen's like, just hit it really hard.
Yeah. It's fine.
So they get the money, and at this point they push the desk up in front of the door to block out the walkers from getting in. They've got all the money, and then all of a sudden they just hear a ton of gunshots. Just a bunch of gunshots.
Well, first they're trying to figure out, okay, we don't have enough blood, right?
Right. Yeah. Like we don't have enough guts to get back out.
This is wonderful. This scene's happening, and the gunshots are going on. I'm glued to the screen watching this. I'm taking my notes and watching what's happening. I get a phone call. I have to pause it as the door's about to go. For like 20 minutes, waiting to turn the thing back on.
Oh God. Well, it's funny because when I hear all the gunshots and stuff, I'm like, okay, they've made a point already of saying that they can't use the guns.
Exactly.
And I'm like, so if this turns out to be those two yokels from the beginning, then why didn't they just do that in the first place? I was not giving the writers the benefit of the doubt at this point. Which
I had so many thoughts on who it could be, and we get one of them at the end of this episode. So I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Because I also thought, was this a lie? And they knew that this was.
Yeah, or maybe once they knew they got the money, I don't know, whatever. So, but anyway, the door opens up and it's Mercer and Carol. And Carol's like, yeah, you didn't show up for lunch, so I thought something was odd, so I went to Mercer. And he's just like, okay.
See how easy it is to check on somebody when you don't see them?
Yeah.
If only they could do that with children.
Yeah. So of course at this point they
so how did they reason that this is where to go?
I don't know.
The only thing I can figure, because I thought the same thing, I'm like, how the hell did they know?
Carol's like, oh, he's not at lunch. I guess I gotta get Mercer. I would just go like, I don't know, one of the houses.
The only thing I can think of is they had their assignment, so they probably document all that, and then it was changed at the last minute, and those other two guys came up and said, no, you're going to go on this assignment. So my guess is maybe their orders were changed.
I guess Mercer was able to
look at it. This is why I made me think of that they base this on like a cop procedural, because it's little details like this. You go, well, how did they know?
Well, in the real world, they just get on the radio and like,
right.
Where are you?
Right, but there's no radio, so how did...
I mean, they do have radios, but my guess is, like, yeah, I think because of the detail change and everything else, Mercer had a way to kind of figure it out. Now, how Carol was able to just walk up to Mercer apropos of nothing and just be like, hey, Daryl's kind of was supposed to meet me for lunch, but he's, not show, like, and Mercer take that as, oh yeah, let's go find him, like, you come with. Like,
Carol being Carol, Carol does do that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Get you to do things.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief later.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Well, I guess we go with he's also suspicious also. He doesn't really trust, even though he's following the flag.
Sure.
But he doesn't trust anything. If they give him enough compelling reason, he knows what bastards they are.
Also. Yeah, I mean, Mercer, definitely. Mercer knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they do show up. They decide to just, they kind of swap out some of the gutted up armor, the nasty armor that between Rosita and Daryl, and give it to April. And they decide they realize they need to make their way out quietly. That they don't have much ammunition left, in general, and they need to kind of be quiet.
It's funny. I noticed none of especially Carol and Mercer, put nothing on their face.
Yeah.
We're in that point of the show where the amount of gutting up required is variable depending on what the show decides we need to clearly see, such as something eaten alive or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. Do we really need to do that?
Let's always remember the second episode of the series where they're like, you know what? What do we just have him wearing giant tarps covered in guts?
Yeah.
There you go.
Versus Nickel man clothes on Fear the Walking Dead being like, yeah, but I just have the war paint on my face, like good.
Yeah. So as they're trying to make their way out, April gets caught up on one of the walkers, and she starts to get attacked. And then, of course, Daryl comes up and hits it with a knife. And then they just decide to just go for broke and kill all the rest of them. And it's too late for poor April. She got.
It was so fast too.
Yeah.
And
then Rosita
Rosita
comes down and chunks her in the head to kind of put her out from coming back.
And she's visibly upset.
Oh yeah.
She bonded with her for a second. Like April said she had 2 kids. Like, she's hurting from that.
Yeah. When they first got in there, April ran up to Rosita and hugged her. Like,
they bonded.
Yeah.
All this for Monopoly money. Like that also has to just piss them off even more.
Yeah.
It's nothing. This means nothing.
So we cut back to Carlson, who and his crew, which they're at this point they're going floor by floor. They're trying to root out Maggie and the rest of them, and they're trying to find the weapons.
He's a wrecking ball in this scene. I enjoy it. He's carrying a liquor bottle too. He's off his rocker.
He's full Colonel Kurtz at this point. And Negan and them are kind of like hiding on the other side of this closet and ready to go. And then all of a sudden, right as they're getting close, they hear all this noise, and it's Gabe and Aaron. And which I'm assuming they did that on purpose to lure them up to the roof. Is my guess.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The rooftop showdown was fully intentional.
Yeah. So they of course get up on the roof, and then it's Gabriel and Aaron, and Elijah is able to stealth. He's back in full Elijah mode with the mask and the 2 weapons and the whole 9 yards. And he's able to get the drop.
On Carlson and his men.
Yeah, get the drop on Carlson and his guys. And then Negan's men kind of ambush the other troops. And so he kind of Aaron backs Carlson up kind of against the edge of the building, and he's trying to reason with them and everything else. And Aaron just pulls out the gun and shoots him twice, and he falls off the roof, which we do actually see him fall.
Yeah, let me lay this out. Yeah, because it's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
You have this confrontation where now it's basically everybody versus Carlson, and he knows that he's lost in this scenario. And Aaron's the one that has had the most interaction with it. Like, what shot Aaron last week until the gun was either Aaron or Jan or whatever the fuck. And so it's that whole Carlson trying to say things to get out of this, and then Aaron, he puts a couple in his chest, which is great because it's like that armor, so it just knocks him back. And you can easily see that this is what we're going for. It's like, well, you let people off the roof, so he has to go off the roof now. But I still smile. He's like, oh, that's a wonderful way to take this off the roof. And then it's like, oh, so he can't. And when he fell off the roof too, I was like, oh, okay. So that's why we got the shot at the beginning of the walkers waking up. It was all foreshadowing, which was wonderful. So you get to see him getting like Day of the Dead style, eaten alive on the bottom, and he can't move anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And seeing him impact on the ground, that was when I was like, oh yeah, I jumped ahead. So they say the good one for us.
Yes. So
good stuff. I was like, as much as I liked this Carlson character for the 2 episodes we got 2 weeks with like one and done characters. Michael Biehn. But I like what he was doing with that guy. But hey, you know what? He went out swinging.
So no more Carlson. So now we cut back to Mercer, and the 2 troopers decide to mouth off to Mercer because they think they're in the good seat with Sebastian. And Mercer asks him, like, how many people do we send? And that's when they say they send in 30 or 40 people, and then Mercer just shoots both of them.
I love his. I'm sick of this shit.
Yes.
That he has.
Yeah, he's totally like, oh, okay.
It's such a great facial reaction after he shoots them, because it's like, this is first before he shoots them. Yes, he's like, oh, this is nonsense. And he shoots them, and he has such a look of like, I did something that's like over the line but entirely justified, and my next move, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
And I get a sense of I've had to do this before because I just know how rotten these people are.
Yeah.
Like it's just the point of keeping as much civilization as possible, and he's had to.
Well, and Mercer's an order. He's kind of a true believer in the sense of, like, their purpose is truly for protection and law and order, and for these guys to kind of be freelancing and kind of soiling what he's trying to accomplish with this, with this security force or whatever. I think that just gives him more justification to just be like, you got to go.
Well, you're like a cop. I mean, it just kept making me think of that for this episode. He's like, you're like a cop or a captain in a corrupt, system.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to keep as much civility for others as you can. It's like, but sometimes people are just gonna, innocent people are just gonna be taken out.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. He just has that look on, that whole thing in his face.
Yeah. And then Mercer tells Rosita and Daryl that they have to go ahead and pay Sebastian, and they're like, what? Like,
that guy's gotta win.
You have to play the game. Like, if you don't give him this money, you're just going to put a target on your back. You need to let this play out. And then Mercer grabs both of the bags, and he goes, I'll take the bags. They won't search me when I come in.
Yeah.
Which, again,
I think that's why Carol can do what she does with Rock. Because Carol thinks like that too sometimes. It's a part, even though there's a part of her that she hates, but it's the part that she can go in the, in that zone, right? That.
Well, yeah, Carol's an ends justify the means kind of person, right? Like,
and she can ride the gray zone when she needs to.
She's not.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Mercer for me is I think Mercer's like a true believer, and Carol's more an ends justify the means kind of person. Like, I have my set of values, and I don't care what I have to sacrifice or.
And they both will do what they got to do. Yeah, they both are people that, as much as they might hate what they have to do, sometimes they can live with it.
So Sebastian comes in, they give him the money, and then he hands some money back to Daryl, and Daryl's like, "What's this?" And he's like, "Well, you're cut, of course."
Like, what the hell?
I expected Daryl to either just tell him he didn't want it, or to just take it and light it on fire and toss it. Like,
but you have to take it because I don't trust the guy that doesn't take the prize, right?
Yeah. So we got back to Lance.
It's a chill slap in the face.
Yes.
Also, so Mercer's just like Sebastian's cool with Mercer knowing what was going on. Like, I was also trying to look at that part of it. Like, he's just like, I guess Mercer knows. Okay, like that's
well, he's right. He plays the game too, right? He knows his play.
I think Sebastian knows that. I think he's interacted enough with Mercer. I mean, think about it, he's kind of been like Sebastian's been forced on Mercer in multiple occasions. I'm sure Mercer has probably bailed him out of all kinds of depravity that Sebastian has done. Right. So so my guess is he just doesn't care. Like, he knows Sebastian's not going to go rat him out because that'll yeah.
He ain't pulling on the thread that much.
But again, I think it just reinforces how bold. Like, Sebastian obviously is headed for a very big fall, right? Like, I mean, obviously that he's going to get his at some point, and the more they throw it in he throws it in everybody's face. It just, to me, that just says like, okay, this fall is going to be that much harder when it finally comes. So we come back to Lance, who's trying to get a hold of Carlson. And then Carol comes in and rats out Sebastian and is like, oh, they did the money and they sent all these people. And Lance is like, oh, thank God, I'm so glad they finally found that money because this was getting ridiculous. And Carol's like, oh, like she didn't realize Lance was in on it. And of course, Lance was in on it. Lance is in on everything. If there's something crooked or shady going on, Lance has got a taste of it.
Oh yeah, and a lesser character who can't do it. Like this shows how Carol's used to do it. She's done this before. Like she's able to pivot and not show how like if this was what's her boy her
Ezekiel.
This was Ezekiel. He would not have been able to fake this.
No. He
would show. Right.
I mean, he's very, and that makes it sound negative, but he's much more. He's too good. Like Carol's not afraid to.
Which she said before, right? Yeah. Like, but with her, it's like she would see in her eyes because she's a good actor with this. When she caught, when he does that, shows he's just as bad. She's able to just hold that, pivot it, and be like, huh. Now she plays the. I guess it comes from also living in an abusive situation. She's had to play so many roles just to survive. Yeah. Evil man, right? Yeah. So she automatically turns the switch to be the. I'm just the person. I'm just the ignorant person that doesn't know how things go, and now you're teaching me. I'm learning from you, kind of thing.
Do you think? So at the end, Lance is like, "Oh, I'm so glad I finally have somebody that gets it, right? That understands what's."
Yeah.
So, and then Carol just kind of quickly doesn't say much and then leaves. Do you think Lance suspects her of maybe putting a false front on, or do you think Lance thinks that she's on board with what he's got going on? It wasn't real clear to me because he picks up the walkie again, and I'm assuming he was picking up the walkie to try and get a hold of Lance. I don't because at first I was like, "Oh, is he picking up the walkie to have somebody watch her?" And I'm like, "No, he's probably obviously trying to get a hold of Lance." So. But I couldn't tell if he's become suspicious of Carol and said that to make her think that he's not onto her, or if he truly at this point doesn't think Carol's up to.
I think he's feeling it. I think he is wanting to connect with Carol. He just wants to connect with somebody. I'm sure other situations when the true him has come out, people have been horrified, but they're too scared to do anything about it. I think he wants to connect with somebody, and I think that it's just that his desperation to connect is the thing that you want. Even evil people need some kind of companionship, or not. I mean, not necessarily have to be romantic, but just connecting with somebody that you could be yourself with.
I think that he certainly would like that, but doesn't necessarily trust anybody.
Right.
And he trusts everybody to be the person he thinks they are. Yeah. And as of now, I think he feels Carol's probably something of a puzzle that seems to be on his side, but he can't quite tell.
And he killed her. I mean, it's just a thing.
He trusts anyone as far as he can throw.
Exactly.
Right.
No, that's fair.
And I'll have him killed if I get any away from something different.
So we cut back to Negan and his crew, and he talks to Herschel, and he tells Herschel that he's like, you go back, you help your mom fix up your house, and when you get older and you get bigger, you come back to me, and we'll settle this. And I was like, wow, okay.
You tell Tarantino.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And then we find out that Ian didn't have the guns, and so then is it Gabriel that says, well, if Ian didn't have the guns, who had the guns? And then we go 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And we see somebody, a soldier running away on the ground. Somebody comes over him, pulls her head up, slits her throat, and we look up, and it's Leah. And Leah's looking mighty the badass at this point. But Leah's looking pretty tough, like a lot tougher than I think even when we saw her last time. So
more stuff happened, right? Like
for sure.
She lost her family. She's out in that world.
So Leah has returned. So we'll see what and she has the guns. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with this. If she's by herself, she find a new group. Is she what's up? So the plot thickens, as they say.
It was interesting to see where that was going. I expected Leah to come back in some way. It's like, okay, so that's an interesting wrinkle. What does this add to it? We'll find out. Backing up a step, I mean, I feel like we get a good idea of what's going to lead to Daryl going against the Hilltop, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to bring all those apartment people back to the Hilltop, or whatever. So
I took it as Negan's people are gonna go back to Hilltop.
Go back to Hilltop, and then whether or not there's something sly going on with Daryl and his part of this in the weeks to come, or whatever. I can see why Mercer or whoever would send them after the Hilltop to resolve something, or Lance, I guess, would send something. But we'll see.
Cool. All right. Well, how many busters do we give this episode, Aaron? How many busters?
I'd say 4 busters. It's a solid continuation of the thing from last week. I was initially hesitant on there's also the Daryl subplot thing going on, but it ended up working quite well. I think I did it together as well as it did. The Negan stuff was really good. The character stuff in general I enjoyed. Minor quibbles about the logic of the whole heist mission thing. I still enjoyed what they're going for with that. So I think it's a solid episode. 4 busters.
Daryl?
I really enjoyed it. I did. And the previous episodes before it that lead up to this. So the action was really, really good in this. 4 out of 5 busters. I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting to see, what's going to happen when they all, collide, when all these little, worlds collide, which seems to be coming very soon.
Yep. I'll also give it a 4. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I think, again, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but the fact that I continue to be very conflicted in my feelings for Negan, like as in if I put myself in the world of these characters, could I be able to, even if not forgive Negan, but to learn to accept him as part of the group? And it's very... I don't think I have a good answer. I mean, it's almost like an unanswerable question. But when you think back from Negan's perspective of, however he formed, the Saviors and how that came about in his Iron Rule, his mindset of just being able to survive and, going what he went through, and then sees Rick's group as kind of a threat to his group and to the way things were going, and then his response, and then all of that to kind of fall apart, and then realizing that there's another way to, and seeing it directly, that there's another way to live, that you don't, from his perspective, you had to be a tyrant and you had to be, a warlord or whatever you want to call it in order to survive in this world, or you're dead. And for him to kind of come around and see firsthand through his incarceration and everything else that it doesn't have to be that way. It's just a very interesting human experiment to try and get right with yourself and see if it's something you could learn to accept.
Because we don't really, in TV and film, we don't really get to see a criminal rehabilitate. Not really. I mean, it's saying you're doing something like just terrible, like like not an accidental death or something like that. That's usually the little tick that they do. They do an accidental thing or something. or you know, some kind of crime that led up to even more bad stuff happening, and then it's a little bit easier for the character to get redemption. But
I mean, there's a number of anti-heroes, like The Sopranos, for example, where like you're dealing constantly with people that do terrible things on the regular, but you also get to know their lives.
They do certain things, even in The Sopranos. Their thing is they make sure that, you know, he doesn't hurt kids. He's not abusive to women for the most. I'm turning in that world compared to even worse. They make sure to show even worse people than him, so that he doesn't look like the most terrible person, and then he does something really terrible, and then you're like, oh, you get reminded he is the villain.
I agree that it's a rarity that you see this kind of thing explored.
But it's a rarity that you get to see, you know, someone who does these things and then comes back, you know, then tries to come back from it. And they're not trying to redeem him, though. That's the thing. They're not trying to redeem him in our eyes.
No.
It's just a point of, can you deal with it?
Yeah, and again, you're in a situation where the world is ended. So,
right.
You know, every person that you can have that believes in what you're doing is one less person that is out there trying to do it against you, or, you know,
right.
one less person to help defend you from those out there that would do you harm. So it's a very it's a very complicated situation.
It is.
And again, it's
great.
Like you said earlier, and the fact that, you know, that is even going through my head is kind of a credit to Jeffrey Dean Morgan and to the writers to just not make him a one-dimensional mustache twirling villain that we kind of were introduced to. You know, for the most part, that's how he's introduced, is, you know, the bombastic language and the you know, constant cursing and the you know, the bat and the whole 9 yards, and to now see him, you know, I mean, we definitely see where he can kind of fade back into that persona when he needs to, but that's not his like forward persona. So anyway, I just continue to be fascinated with trying to think my way through how I would react. So anyway, but that's what we think about this episode. But we have some comments over at the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/WDTV podcast. So there's some stuff there. Do you want to?
Yeah, I can read these out here. Okay, we got our Buster ratings here on the Facebook group, as Russ mentioned. The first one's from Mike Jones. He writes 4 Reaper leftovers out of 5. This was a solid 5 for me until the end reveal of who actually took the weapons. Okay, I thought the Negan-Maggie dynamic was great here. Loved the episode flipping back and forth between the two stories. Mercer has been amazing all season. Hopefully, its momentum carries into the 35 spin-offs AMC has planned. Richard Charrington writes 4.5. I echo what Mike Jones above has said out of 5, but I actually like the reveal at the end.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not with you on the anti-Leah reveal at the end.
Kevin Berry writes 4.5, second hidden room in the closet of the season out of 5. One of my favorite episodes so far this season, and with all the different parts, I think they did a great job of storytelling. I will say I forgot about Leah and did not realize it was her right away during the end reveal. Let me jump to this short one for this long one. Brent Jones writes 4 deets out of 5. Best episode of the season so 5, in my opinion. Fun to see Officer Daryl Dixon.
Indeed.
And of course, we have a message here from Yukio Shisawada. He writes 4 cleansing the Commonwealth out of 5. 1, the trooper lieutenant interrupting Daryl and Carol's conversation. Rude. 2, I'll give the Sebastian Sec 2 points for not just sending him in blindly. He has a code and a way in that gets credit. 3, Sebastian, I'll threaten your kids.
I think it's die.
Me. And what stopped me from telling your mommy that you're skipping around on your punishment for being an idiot? Yeah, it works both ways. You sorry excuse for a human being named after a crab. Good RJ, 3rd grade, wow. 4, Sebastian, hey, who said a hey thing about hurting kids? I was saying as a question, like, hurt some kids? Either way, saying you can make their lives easier or worse, both are threats. Plus, he changed his tune on that threat because he remembered these people don't care about whose son he is. 5, my dude, wouldn't it be easier just to counterfeit the money? Doubt anybody is checking for serial numbers these days.
The holograms are still a bitch.
Yeah, they have a dark light scanner, a black light scanner. 6, wait, Negan's married? It's only been a month and a week since we separated. Negan, don't worry, it's all in one of those folk songs and about to listen to the whole track and you'll get the whole story. There's 59 songs. 59 songs. It's only been about a month and a week.
Yeah, I think we debunked that.
Yeah, we cleared that up.
7, Negan, hey Maggie, your son was fought by the stormtroopers. Don't worry, he's safe. Maggie, if you do anything to him, Negan, how much of the bad guy here after saving an 8-year-old from Nazis? 8, Daryl, we gut up, then we go. Gut up, it's a thing. 9, oh, April, we did not know you long, but rest assured, Mercer will personally make your kids are taken care of, even though you had literal armor on. Sadly, it wasn't the type of armor Rosita was wearing. April will give you mercy. 10, Aaron, Mercer are tired of this corrupt bullshit. Like I said at the top, it's time to cleanse the Commonwealth. 9, okay, one more point to Sebastian. I mean, he could have not paid them, sure. I'm not enough, but a small amount is better than nothing. Really hoping when Lance was trying to call Toby, no Mercer, by the way, that Gabriel would instead answer, no, Fire Squad is here, but you can call me Gabriel. 12, Lance, it's nice to be able to talk to someone who sees the big picture. Not many can. Carol, well, I'll let you get back to your work. I'm going home to bake some cookies just for you. Lance, I love cookies. Carol, oh, good. Everybody who enjoys my dessert just can't say anything bad about them. 13, Leah, now I know what you think. I have to be stupid or crazy to come back to Virginia just to get revenge, and the answer is yes. Okay, the walking facts. A1, Negan's speech to Herschel Ray at the end is similar to the speech that Beatrix Kiddo gave to a young girl whose mother she just killed in Volume 1. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. This was another great episode. I just have to say, it's about time Herschel gets the screen time. I feel like he's just been used as a prop for Maggie.
Yeah, I think we addressed that too. So.
Yeah.
So if you want to have your Buster ratings read on the show as well, be sure to visit our Facebook group page, facebook.com/group/WDTV podcast. We have a big old group here. We try to post everything, including my write-ups for the week's episodes, and as well as, of course, our Buster rating recaps and all these things.
Cool. All right. Well, that's the end of the episode. So, Daryl, since you've been gone for a couple weeks, where can people find what you're up to on the internet?
Well, you can just look me up on the Twitter at the Voice123, and you can also look up TaylorNetworkPodcast.com and see stuff.
Excellent. Mr. North?
You can find me all over the place, but I have a podcast called Out and Out There and Abe. My friend Abe and I talk about weekly releases on that show. We also cover comedy commentary tracks and other fun stuff.